My name is Margaret and I am 75 years old. I live in a small 2-bedroom home at the edge of town. It's nothing fancy, just a creaky porch, faded curtains, and a garden I try to keep alive. Some days I look around and think of the life I once had. A big family, laughter filling every corner, children running in and out of my kitchen. But now things are quieter. Too quiet. The story I'm about to tell you is not easy, but I will tell it because maybe you will see a little of your own life in mine. Maybe you'll understand what it means to be forgotten. I pulled the door open with trembling hands, expecting maybe the mailman or a neighbor. Instead, standing in the glow of my porch light was a man I hadn't seen in more than 40 years. "Margaret," he said, his voice rough but steady. "It's me. Henry." I staggered back, my hand flying to my mouth. Henry, my younger brother. The same Henry who had stormed out of our childhood home when he was just 17. Angry at the world, angry at our father, angry at Henry held the note in his hand, the paper trembling between his fingers. His eyes narrowed as he read it again, slower this time, as if the words might change if he looked hard enough. "Stay silent or you'll lose more than your family." I felt my knees weaken, so I lowered myself into the nearest chair. My mind spun. What could I possibly know that would make someone threaten me? I was just a 75-year-old grandmother, left behind in a small house while my family enjoyed their vacation. "Henry," I whispered, "what does this mean?" Silent about what? The pounding on the door rattled the whole house. I held my breath, my heart thundering in my chest. Henry raised a finger to his lips, motioning for me to stay quiet. "Margaret!" A voice boomed from outside. "Open the door. It's the sheriff." Relief washed over me, but Henry's face stayed tense. "Don't trust it so quickly," he muttered. He moved carefully to the window, pulling the curtain just enough to peek through. After a pause, he exhaled. "It's him. Sheriff Daniels. At least it looks like him." I hurried to the door. The air grew heavy, thick with dread, as the three figures moved toward my front porch. Henry grabbed the poker from the fireplace and gripped it tight like it was a sword. His eyes darted to me. "Margaret, go. Don't argue. Back room now." But my legs refused to move. I was 75 years old, and I'd seen storms, wars, and heartbreak, but I had never seen my own home invaded by shadows from the past. "Henry, I'm not leaving you to fight them alone." Before he could answer, the first fist slammed against the door. "Henry!" The flashing red and blue lights still poured into my living room, casting long, uneasy shadows. Sheriff Daniels lowered his gun, scanning the broken window, the shattered glass, the overturned table. His eyes landed on Henry, who was still catching his breath, sweat dripping down his forehead. "You'd better start talking," the sheriff said in a low, steady voice. "Who were those men?" Henry swallowed hard, his chest heaving. "Old associates. From years back." The sheriff narrowed his eyes. "Associates. That's a mighty soft word for men breaking into a 75-year-old woman's house with knives and crowbars." I sat trembling in my chair, I didn't sleep that night. Every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the rustle of the trees outside, even the ticking of the clock, made my heart jump. I kept picturing those men's faces, especially the one with the knife. His grin sharp and cruel. By morning, the deputy outside tipped his hat, promising he'd be back for the night shift. Henry sat at the kitchen table, staring into his coffee as if the steam could tell him what to do. "Margaret," he said finally, his voice heavy. "They won't stop. They'll keep circling, waiting. You're not safe here anymore." I shook my head. "This is my home. I built my life in these walls." The diner seemed to shrink as he walked toward me, each step echoing louder than the last. My throat went dry, and I gripped the edge of the booth as if the vinyl seat could anchor me. Nancy froze behind the counter, her hand hovering near the phone. The other customers, two old men sipping coffee and a young mother with her toddler, looked up, puzzled by the tension that thickened the air. "Morning, Margaret," the man said smoothly, as if we were old friends meeting by chance. His leather jacket creaked as he slid into the booth across from me without asking. "Lovely place you got here in this town. Shame if trouble followed you here." My heart hammered. "What do you want from me?" We drove back to my little house in silence. Sheriff Daniels' cruiser led the way, headlights sweeping across the dark road, while I sat stiff in the back seat of the deputy's car. My heart thudded like a drum, each beat heavier than the last. When we pulled up, the sight made my knees buckle. There it was, nailed right into the wood of my front door. A black crow, its wings spread wide, feathers matted, its lifeless eyes staring out at the street. The message beneath it was written in jagged red letters. "Next is her." I clutched my chest, gasping. The sheriff cursed under his breath, signaling his deputies to remove the grisly display. Henry was waiting on the porch, pacing like a man trapped between fire and flood. The gunshots ripped through the night like thunder. Glass sprayed across the living room floor as bullets punched holes into my walls, tearing through the curtains I'd sewn myself years ago. I pressed my body flat to the ground, covering my head with trembling hands. "Stay down, Margaret," Sheriff Daniels shouted, drawing his weapon. The deputies ducked behind furniture, aiming toward the broken windows. Henry crouched beside me, his face pale, his chest heaving. "It's me they want," he hissed. "If I give myself up, they'll leave you alone." I grabbed his sleeve with surprising strength. "No, Henry. Don't you dare. Running away got you here in the first place." The sheriff peered out through the shattered window.